The Royal Escape Pod hurtled through the atmosphere, trailing flame and smoke. Inside, Queen Lyra of the Stellar Dominion gripped the safety harness as alarms blared. The navigation system flashed a single message: emergency landing, primitive world. Status report, she demanded, her voice steady despite the violent shaking. We've been hit by rebel forces, Your Majesty, replied the automated system, life support failing. Destination, Sol system, third planet. Warning, pre-spaceflight civilization present. Contact prohibited by Imperial Directive 447. Lyra's luminescent eyes narrowed. The rebels had planned this well. Shooting down her ship over a protected world would either kill her in the crash or force her to break the Empire's highest law by revealing herself to primitives. Either way, her reign would end. The pod plunged through cloud cover, revealing vast oceans and green-brown landmasses. The system chose a remote location for landing, a mountainous region with minimal population. Even so, the impact would likely attract attention. Prepare for impact, the system announced just before the pod slammed into a forested hillside. Jack had been tracking the deer for hours when the sky split open. Something blazed overhead, screaming like a banshee before disappearing behind the ridge. The impact shook the ground beneath his boots. A lifetime in these mountains had taught him caution, but curiosity won out. He shouldered his hunting rifle and hiked toward the rising smoke. 20 minutes later, he stood before a scene straight out of his science fiction books, a gleaming metal object, partially buried in the earth, still hissing with heat. "Hello?" he called, approaching slowly. "Anyone in there?" A section of the craft slid open with a mechanical whine. Jack raised his rifle instinctively, then lowered it at what he saw. A figure stumbled out, clearly female in form, but undeniably not human. Her skin was pale blue with iridescent patterns that shifted like oil on water. Her eyes were large, entirely purple, without whites or visible pupils. She wore what appeared to be some kind of damaged armor or uniform. She spoke, the sounds musical but incomprehensible. When Jack didn't respond, she touched a device in her throat, winced in pain, and tried again. Helped, she managed in accented English. "Hunters coming." Jack stared, momentarily frozen by the impossibility before him. Then the part of him that had survived wilderness and war took over. Questions could wait. "Come with me," he said, extending a hand. Queen Lyra had expected many reactions from a primitive upon seeing her: terror, worship, aggression. The calm efficiency of this creature, this human according to her translator, was unexpected. His dwelling was rudimentary, a cabin built of local wood, warmed by combustion heat, lit by primitive electric lights powered by solar panels. Yet there was something impressive in its self-sufficiency. "Your wounds need cleaning," the human named Jack said, gesturing to the gash on her arm where the ship's interior had cut her during landing. "My biology is different from yours," Lyra replied, her translator now functioning properly after Jack had helped her repair it. "Your treatments may harm me." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "Then tell me what to do." Over the next 3 days, Lyra regained her strength. Jack kept her hidden, asking questions but never pushing when she declined to answer. He proved remarkably adaptable for a primitive, quickly learning to prepare food she could digest and helping repair her communicator. On the 4th day, her worst fears were confirmed. Her scanner detected Gorvan ships entering orbit. "The rebels who shot me down," she explained to Jack. "They've traced my pod. They'll kill me and anyone who's helped me." Jack absorbed this with the same stoic calm he'd shown since their meeting. "How many?" "5 ships, perhaps 40 soldiers." He nodded and began gathering weapons. "This is my home. They're not welcome here." King Nax of the Gorvan Collective watched the scanner with growing frustration. The Queen's signal was clear, coming from a primitive dwelling in the mountains, but something was interfering with their trackers. "Just land troops and search the area," he ordered. "And remember, I want her alive." His second-in-command hesitated. "Sire, our scouts report unusual resistance. The primitive with her appears to be unusually resourceful." Nax laughed. "One primitive against 40 Gorvan elites? I'll watch this entertainment myself." The first Gorvan team disappeared in the dense forest. The second triggered primitive but effective traps, pitfalls lined with sharpened stakes, snares that left them hanging defenseless. The third was picked off by projectile weapons, crude but deadly when aimed with surprising accuracy. By the time King Nax landed personally with his royal guard, half his force was dead or incapacitated. The human had turned the forest itself into a weapon, using intimate knowledge of the terrain to devastating effect. When they finally cornered him at a narrow mountain pass, the primitive stood alone, armed with nothing but a metal blade and what appeared to be explosive devices. "Where is the queen?" Nax demanded, his translator converting his words. The human smiled. "Gone. Your ships won't find her. Too much mineral interference in these mountains. She's already contacted her people." He gestured to the explosives rigged around the pass. "Now we can all die here, or you can leave. Your choice." 6 months later, Queen Lyra sat on her restored throne, watching the recording for the 100th time. Jack, facing down the Gorvan king with nothing but courage and primitive explosives. The royal guards retreating in the face of his bluff. The human had given her time to reach the emergency beacon hidden in the mountains and summon her loyal forces. "The human wishes to speak with you, Your Majesty," Aid announced. The communication screen activated, showing Jack's face. Behind him stood representatives from Earth's major governments. "We've been discussing your proposal," Jack said with that same calm she'd first seen in the forest. "Earth is ready to join your stellar dominion as an independent ally." Lyra smiled. "The Council questioned my judgment in offering alliance to such a primitive world. They won't question it after seeing what one of you accomplished against 40 elite soldiers." Jack's eyes crinkled with amusement. "Just imagine what we could do as friends instead of enemies." The Stellar Council would never be the same again. Neither would she. The small, isolated world had forever altered the balance of power among the stars, all because one primitive human had chosen compassion over fear when an alien queen fell from the sky.